I think it's his daughter-in-law getting married, his niece getting married, and couldn't be with us this first time. Claude hadn't been with us in a long, long time. So I hate that Claude's not here, but family comes first. I want to thank our fans for the great job they did coming out today. I was a little worried about the weather and thought that we might not have great turnout because of the weather, and they came. They came and they were loud, and that always makes for a special feeling for our players, which I think is important for them to feel good about that. A lot of respect for Hatch and the job he's done in terms of coaching at Samford. And their kids played really hard. A lot of respect for those guys. They were outmanned and outmatched, and they played really hard and physical today and did a good job of doing the best job they could. So we got to play better. We didn't play our best game, and we know that, and our kids acknowledge that. And we start the SEC gauntlet next week. So that'll open it up.
Okay, we have any questions?
Coach, what do you think about the red zone effort today? 7 before field goals, was that a big issue, I guess, for you today?
Yeah, anytime you get in the red zone for us, it was a priority for offense and defense to be elite in the red zone. You know, we talked all off season about our defense last year was pretty good in red zone. Offense didn't score the touchdowns they needed to, and they did that in the first game, and we didn't today. So we'll have to go back and watch the tape, and we got to get better at that because you can't win games just kicking field goals.
Kirby saw AD come off the field after that first drive. Any update on him?
Yeah, he looks okay. Probably could have gone back in, but we held him at that point, and he's got an ankle.
Kirby, how much, or if at all, do you feel your defense did better today in terms of communication and getting calls in and things of that nature?
Hard to say. Hard to say. You know, I don't know that you could get a great evaluation. They were outmanned up front. They had to get rid of the ball quick. They don't have the dynamic guys we play against on the perimeter. They were going to get the ball out quick, so it's hard to evaluate. They tried to slow the game down once we got ahead, and if you saw, they just ran the clock a long time. It shifted, so it wasn't a great evaluation for us in terms of taxing us. And we had a lot of 3 and outs. So when you get 3 and outs, it's hard to sustain drives.
Kirby, you guys were able to have something of a 2-minute drill right before halftime. Just how valuable is that, especially early in the year, to kind of get a test like that, trying to score with not a lot of time?
Well, it's great, especially if you capitalize on it, you know, and we're able to get the ball back and able to get a shot at the end zone. Would like to have gotten, you know, if we execute one play better, we may have a shot at a field goal. And I think we followed the snap. I couldn't tell what happened, and it kind of wasted a play for us, and we lost a lot of time on that play.
Kirby, what was your impressions of Dylan Bell and Jackson Meeks? They got in pretty early and played a lot.
Both those guys have done a good job at practice. They continue to improve. We are continuing to grow that room and get some depth and some guys that can go play for us.
It seemed like, Coach, you had a lot more power run today. I don't know if that's true or not, but was it, and how did you feel about just the power run game in general?
I don't know what you mean by power run game.
Just between the tackles, straight up runs. You know, Kendall Milton seemed to carry the ball a lot, but between the tackles, I think that's fairly verifiable.
Yeah, we ran the ball a few more times a day than we did in the past, but a power to me is when a guy pulls, and we had some pull plays, we had some zone plays, we had inside, outside zone, we ran a couple gap scheme plays, had some good successful runs in there, and then had some that we didn't. You know, we didn't hit any real explosive runs, so I think you can't expect every run to be just a home run, and when you're hitting for 4, 5, 6, 10, 6, 7, those can be good, but you can't shoot yourself in the foot.
What do you think of Michael Williams' first sack for you guys this season?
I was pumped for Mike. He does a good job. Michael works really hard. He's a kid that just works. And you look out there on Sunday and he's out there hitting a sled and running and doing extra. You know, it pays off on a play like that. So it was good to get up and get back there and affect the quarterback. They weren't going to let us rush the quarterback. They're trying to keep their quarterback healthy for the rest of the season, so the ball's coming out really quick, and that can be frustrating for the defense. But when you get 3 and outs and you tackle people in space, that certainly helps get off the field.
Kirby, you mentioned the 3 and outs. How much of an emphasis was that for y'all coming out of the Oregon game, and how much better do you think the execution was in that area?
It's an emphasis every game. Like, it's not like, you know, I mean, we weren't playing Oregon today. We were playing Samford, so I mean, the emphasis is get off the field as fast as possible, get the offense the ball back. We executed well, but we were, you know, they were outmanned.
Can you explain what went into the conversation or the thought process of having 12 minutes in the fourth quarter between both coaches? When did you guys have that conversation about kind of shortening it?
Didn't really talk about it. He reached out to one of our staff members, and our staff member reached out to him. So it was something he asked about, and I got respect and want to be fair to his players. So that conversation really stays between me and Hatch.
Kirby, this being your first home game since winning the championship, there's very little made of it, pre-game or on the video screen or anything about the defending national champions playing their first game at home. Is that all by design?
I don't know. Chip asked that. I have not had one conversation with anybody about I don't know what the expectation should be. I mean, I'm so thrilled about last year, but I'm so into this year that I don't. Nobody said, "Oh, Kirby Smart, do you not want anything?" It's not my decision to say we don't want anything. I haven't even thought about it. Like we're worried about South Carolina now, but today we're worried about Samford, and it's not really fair for this team to celebrate that because this team didn't do that. Last year's team did that.
Did you go in with thinking in your mind that you wanted only to see half from the starters versus getting the second and third string in, or was it based on performance? You saw the starters in the third string and the third quarter.
Did I go into the game wanting to only play the starters a half?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we need conditioning. The number one thing we need is to play. I mean, I'd love to play 15 minutes. I'm respecting my opponent and his wishes also, but we need to play football. Now, granted, we got some guys that have played a lot of football, and I didn't go into the game thinking they'd play a half. I mean, I didn't know how long they'd have to play. They're going to play until we were comfortable enough lead to put the other guys in. And we have a set of players that play regardless of the score. And then we talk about on the headphones who plays as we score, as we get a lead. I just was disappointed altogether with, execution, probably the right word on offense. It just wasn't crisp as it should have been.
Kirby, did you feel that way mostly because of the second half, or did you feel better?
Oh, both. I mean, the red zone stops. I think if we cash in 2 red zones, we're probably sitting here feeling pretty good about our one offense, right? Because we scored, maybe 1 field goal, and now we're 7 plus 5. I don't know how many drives we had, 6. Maybe we're 12 out of 13 touchdowns, and we've had 1 field goal. That doesn't bother you. But when you don't get it multiple times in the first half, and then second half you come out and you don't get it, and then you put Carson in, and we didn't cash in on a chance in the red area. It's something you got to really work on, and I'll guarantee it's easily fixable, but a lot of it comes down to execution.
And 11 different players caught a pass in the first half there. How much of that is you have the ability to spread the ball around, and how much of that was in the game plan? And we want to try and diversify what we have here.
I don't know this in the game plan. It's about gaining depth. We have a good system that allows us to put people in places to say, is he a get the ball to guy? Because you better know who those guys are when you play elite opponents. And some teams will take those get the ball plays away from you, and then you get narrowed down to who can touch the ball. And ultimately football comes down to who can win one-on-one, and we got to figure that out. Fortunately, we've played a couple teams right now that we're better than, and we can get the ball to anybody. It's not going to always be that way, and that's what we've really worked hard on during the week of practice of finding out when it's good on good who the best player is. And what I call good on good is our defense against our offense.
2 games in the books, you guys still not allowed a touchdown on defense. What is your biggest concern with where the defense is right now going into SEC play next week?
How they're going to respond when it gets tough. How they're going to respond when it gets thick, when it gets physical, when it gets fast, when they get tired, when they give up a touchdown. The biggest concern is what's the response mechanism, and what are they wired with.
Coach, how do you feel about the energy level coming in this ball game coming up the last week?
Great, really good energy. Was fired up. I don't think it was real good coming out of halftime, but I thought playing at home helped with that. I felt it almost got a little kick of energy and juice that it wasn't raining. That it was like, oh, I expected it to be one way and it wasn't, and I thought we had really good energy and warm-ups, really good atmosphere in the stands, and came out. We started fast, we just didn't score touchdowns.
How important do you think it was for Dylan Bell to get that first touchdown and sort of establish himself?
I don't think it's about a touchdown. I think he's got to go out there and play. AD being out allowed him to play a little more, Jackson to play a little more. He's got to get some more confidence. Den Island is a guy that he's had a really good week of practice, but he didn't get all that stuff in camp that Dylan got. So we need those two guys, CJ to grow up. We need to get Arian back. I mean, there's guys there that we've got to get to be able to stretch the field vertically and be a complete offense.
When do you think Arian might be able to come back?
Don't know.
You were talking to Stetson coming off the field after the Hail Mary, kind of talking to him about it.
Just that he did a good job getting the ball off. That play is a design, it's gonna take a while, right? So knowing it's gonna take a while, you know, the escape route is usually up in the pocket, and he went out and tried to outrun everybody, and, you know, that's where the offensive line's blocking him too. So, you know, we don't get to work that play live a lot, so just trying to give him some pointers. He did what he had to do. He got the ball to the spot, and, you know, you gotta try to take a chance and make a play, but he did it the hard way.
I guess he's got a pretty good arm, throwing it 48 yards on the run.
Yeah, he's never lacked arm strength. Stetson's got a good arm. He's got plenty of arm talent.
How do you feel about Kamara last week's play today? How you doing, Coach?
Yeah, good to see you. I have to reserve judgment until I watch the tape. I don't, you know, it doesn't stick out. Nothing sticks out to me. He practices really well every day. He's extremely physical and smart. Love the way he competes, but I have to watch the tape to see.
You've got South Carolina next week. What are some of the initial outlook on that matchup and what they bring to the table, especially with the new quarterback behind center?
Well, got tremendous athletes, quarterback. We looked hard at both him and their offense in the offseason. We've studied those guys. They got a tremendous team and they got a tremendous atmosphere. And those kids really believe and buy into Shane and their staff. And they'll be a tough opponent. They've gone out and played, you know, on the road in the SEC already, and now we got to go play on the road in the SEC. And we really haven't played that kind of road game yet to see what our team's really all about.
Do you feel like Stetson really worked on his conditioning this year? He seems like he's faster a little bit, maybe putting on his feet, or maybe he's trusting his feet more this season compared to last year?
I don't know. I mean, he's not trusting his feet to me because there's several times he could have run. You know, he could have taken off. He's always been mobile, but there was, you know, the third down sack that took us out of field goal range, and I probably shouldn't have kicked the field goal. You can't take that sack. You can't do that. You got to throw the ball away or just run it. And you know what you do? You ensure that we get 3 with every yard you get. So the decisions to run it probably have been less for him, and he's made some throws. You know, he made the throw to Ladd on the run across the field, made a nice throw. So, you know, those are things that we can always second guess, and it's easy for me to sit up here and second guess. He's got to be the guy up there playing quarterback, but we need him to protect the ball and make good decisions.
Without watching the film, what are your impressions of how this offensive line has handled moving guys in and out, and just, you know, how they've played with different pieces of them?
Yeah, I think that's a little overrated, right? Like, who's beside you? What does that really matter? Like, you're doing your job, he's doing his job. It's not like they speak a different language, you know? So the pieces they practice all week that way. I think it gives us more stamina, more depth, more ability to go fast. But at the end of the day, there better not be much difference in the guys. If you're playing them all, you better play the best ones when it matters most.
Coach, I think at the very end, you might have had 10 true freshmen on defense at one time. I guess, A, you ever recalled that before, and B, just get those guys reps, you know, all the true freshmen, all the inexperienced guys reps in these first 2 games, how valuable is that for them? Well,
it's great, but you know, I'll be honest with you, I hope they don't have to play, because that means somebody else can't play. We want to get them better. We want to grow and develop them. It's a great opportunity for them. And what they usually realize is that they're not ready. And when you turn the tape on, they watch it, and they can't believe they did what they did. And there's a certain number of snaps that every freshman has to take before they can execute at a high level. And we're just trying to speed that process up.
Got a chance to talk to Darnell Washington afterward. He talked about just how he loves the physical nature of football, whether it's catching it or running it. What have you seen from him in these early couple of games? What do you see for him in the future?
Well, I've seen through camp an extremely physical blocker. Now, he really hasn't gotten to display that much. He got to display it a little more today, but he hasn't got to really showcase that talent. He is a physical, really good blocker and a really big target, and he's practiced really well. He's done a good job. I continue to say offensively we got to be in great shape. We got to be in great conditioning shape because we got to be able to play with tempo and do things. But Darnell has done everything we've asked him to do. He's practiced really hard. He's played really hard. He's maintained his weight at the right level. He's getting rewarded for it by getting some catches and some touches and also being physical.
No Nyland Green today. How close was he to being able to play? And Tyke Smith being able to get back from his injury. What have you seen from him in the first 2 games?
he's gaining more confidence. He hit some higher speeds this week, and we played him more. He got an opportunity to play a little more, and he's growing, getting better. He's got to get confidence too. It's confidence in his knee. It's confidence in our system. And then Nyland, I don't know how far away he is. He didn't dress. He wasn't able to go or work out.
Any more questions for Coach?
Thanks, guys.
All right, Coach, thank you.